Ooh. All right. What's going on, guys? What a win today. What a win. I gotta say, I thought that game was over after I will say this. You could sense that game. You could sense that game could have been over at a few points, right? When that ball gets tipped, Casey Hayward and Trayvon Merrick run into each other, tip the ball that should have been intercepted. Horrible Wentz throw goes right to T.Y. Hilton. Makes it 17-13. We're just like, what the fuck? What happened? What happened here? You know? And then you just, I think Derek Carr had thrown an interception earlier. Like it was looking like that kind of game, right? Like almost like the Bengals game. There was a time where I thought that was going to turn into like a Bengals game, Bills game in 2020, just where it almost ended up not, those games ended up not looking like they were ever close, right? But with the help of Carson Wentz and I will say the Raiders defense did clamp down really well on them. With the help of some poor play by Carson Wentz, the Raiders stayed in that game and marched down the field late when they had to. It was tied 20-20. I think we know that a lot of times when Derek Carr is the reason the Raiders lose a game, it's because of something that happened in the third quarter or maybe early fourth, or even earlier on in the game where he's just laying an egg. But typically, if you have him within a touchdown on the last drive, I do like our odds with him. And that's not to say that he played a great game. I thought, there were times where he wasn't himself. I didn't care much for the play caller in the first drive of the game. I thought Greg Olsen had a masterful drive, running the ball, quick passes, picking the Colts apart. The run game's working. But it's weird. Whenever the run game is kind of working, Greg Olsen's like, yeah, I can just get 10 yards of carry no matter when I run it. And then that doesn't end up happening. So you were seeing a lot of 2nd and 10 runs that weren't getting them to 3rd and short, because that's not what 2nd and 10 runs do a lot of times. Like typically, if you don't gain anything on 1st down, you are passing until you punt it or convert. I understand you want to keep the time of possession going, but you have to score points. And I had said that the Raiders needed to score 24 or more. It was 23. 23 is what did it. So what the hell do I know, right? But you have to score points, and the offense really hit a lull. And there was a point in the game, even before the Trayvon Merrick, Casey Hayward tipped interception touchdown to T.Y. Hilton, that you went from 3rd and 1 with the 2-minute warning. Mariota's at the helm. You get the Alex Leatherwood false start. Then Derek Carr comes in, takes a sack, and you have to kick a field goal, and you're up. I believe it was 13-3 at the time. Even if they don't end up getting the touchdown, you wanted more time to go off the clock, because then the Colts were able to march down the field, pick apart the prevent defense. Typically, a prevent defense is supposed to prevent a touchdown from happening, and that did not happen. And you get the 4th and 1 last play, Jonathan Taylor of the half. And then that's 13-10. But despite all that, I will say Derek Carr was the better quarterback on the field, right? And that showed up, because Carson Wentz had a chance. And I'd like to say that, rest in peace, John Madden. Actually, last time we streamed, Matt Fallon and I, no joke, as soon as I press end stream, I get the John Madden news. And I'm like, oh, man. Didn't get a chance to honor him on the last show, but obviously, absolutely, Mount Rushmore level NFL person, right? If you're talking about the NFL, it was, he is the guy. I mean, if you ask like who is the NFL, he's definitely on the list of people. The reason I'm saying this is because I thought on the last on that drive where T.Y. Hilton was running free and Carson Wentz just missed him, it would have been a touchdown. He would have walked in. If they were to have, converted that play, it would have been same old Raiders. Wow, wide open, defense buckled. They couldn't hold up the entire game. But I think John Madden, right? Hey, man, if you're a spiritual person, whatever you believe in, maybe there's a chance that that's a little bit of angels in the outfield scenario. John Madden just making that pass float a little higher, right? Because if you watch some of the great, I've watched a lot of those old Raider games from the 70s, right? If it's just really cool to watch like the Raiders win and stuff. Like, so I'd watch some of those and you would see some lucky shit happen in those games. They just had luck about them. I mean, that wasn't to say the Raiders were a lucky team. They were a great team. Had the highest winning percentage up until like the early 90s or something like that. They were amazing. But they would have the sea of hands, the holy roller, just things like that only happened to good teams, right? And that was one thing when Carson Wentz missed that throw to T.Y. Hilton. I said, that's like, I was mad because it was like, man, why was he so open? But then relieved, obviously, that it didn't happen. But in the back of my mind, I'm like, you know what? We need a break like that, right? We need a break like that. When the Raiders were kind of in a lull in the middle of that game, a ball got punched out on, I don't know if it was Jonathan Taylor. I couldn't remember who was carrying the ball, but got punched out. Maybe Mo Alley Cox was who it was by the sideline. The ball just rolls perfectly out of bounds, right? And then I feel like a lot of good teams, right? You'll see the ball just hop right up to them. There's just a weird luck thing that happens with a loose ball or a ball in the air. And the Raiders don't seem to be on the right end of that a lot, but they were in this game at the end when it mattered. That I mean, right then and there, that ended a Colts drive that it went from a touchdown to fourth down, right, where they had to punt it. Raiders then get a touchdown after that, right? Put up 20-17 at least. Like it's things like that really get you going. Like it's we're not going to talk about the Chargers yet because I just want to enjoy this game because it was a big win. The Raiders are going to have a winning season, right? They're going to have a winning season. I know that feels lame to be excited about. It's sad that that's what we go for, but I'm really happy that they're not going to have a losing season this year. They could end 9-8. I mean, I don't want to. I want to beat the Chargers, and I think they can. But they're going to be a winning team this year, right? They're going to be a team that won games, had a lot of shit go bad. Look, everybody had guys out for COVID, but the Raiders had guys out for other stuff. Lost their coach when they weren't planning on firing him. Lost their, number one wide receiver, a guy who was definitely trending upward as far as production and stuff. Then you lose Waller, your other best weapon for a long time. And through all of that, they're going to end up a winning team. So that's really good. Like, are they perfect? No. And I know one concern people have is, okay, but is this going to make them keep the coaching staff? I can't speak on Rich Bisaccia. I would prefer not to have him back. But if they do go 10-7 and make the playoffs after all this, and if they keep Mayock, now if they get rid of the GM, I can see the GM bringing in his guy. I can't. I don't think a new GM comes in and brings Rich Bisaccia back. I just don't see that. I don't see a GM who's, let's be real. Whoever the Raiders hire a GM, it seems like he'll be like maybe his first GM job. There's not a lot of experienced ones on the market right now that you could just pluck from a franchise because that's a lifetime job, lifetime job, if you get that, and you're good enough to stay there. But I think that if Mayock stays, I think, and the Raiders are a playoff team, I don't see him getting rid of Bisaccia personally, unless there's a surprise name available where they drop everything for him. But I don't see that. But I'm not worried about that right now. I want to be a playoff team. Like I'll put it to you this way: people keep saying there's a downside to draft order when we don't think the Raiders are Super Bowl contenders. That's fine. I'm not even sure the people who drink the most Raider Kool-Aid will actually say that they're Super Bowl contenders, right? If you had to put a polygraph to them, they might tell you that on Twitter. They might just be trying to speak it into existence. But for the most part, most people don't believe this team is a Super Bowl contender. that's fine, man. A playoff berth feels like a fucking Super Bowl to me. I mean, not that I know what a Super Bowl even feels like, but like it does feel like a Super Bowl to me. And to go 10-7 for this young core that you have, right? Even the guys that aren't performing well, like even Alex Leatherwood, right? A guy that's not performing well, but for him to have a winning season after all this stuff, that's only good for him. Max Crosby, right? It's good for a guy like Max Crosby who is ascending into a great pass rusher. Today, you saw Max Crosby all over the field. You saw him forcing bad plays, forcing bad throws, getting in there, getting pressures, right? Anybody who's mad about the lack of sacks, I mean, yeah, you like to see him get the sacks, but he is getting pressure all the time, and it's good. You're seeing guys like that. You're seeing guys like Hunter Renfrow become like some of the best receivers in the game at the position that Hunter Renfrow plays, right? You are seeing him become a top 2 to 3 slot in the league. You are seeing everybody, you want your guys to learn how to win. It makes it a lot easier once, if there is a new regime that takes over, it is a lot easier to deal with some guys who have won before, who have won recently, right? Rather than coming in here and teaching people how to win, right? A 10-7 season, it definitely puts a lot of things in perspective, knowing that you accomplished your goal of trying to make the postseason, right? Like nobody's gonna knock down the Chiefs in this division. It's just not, it wasn't gonna happen, especially not the way that the Raiders played them this year. But if they were to become a playoff team, and they are right now, I think, right? Or actually, the Chargers just won, so maybe not. They do have to win this. They do have to win this game against the Chargers. Maybe some other things could happen, but I'd rather, after all the things that have happened this year, the fact that all you have to do is win a game at the end of the year, you don't need to watch the scoreboard for any other game other than your own, right? For the most part. But if you win that game, that's it. That's it. You are in, right? And who the fuck knows what happens when you get in, man? Who knows? Who knows what's going to happen to certain players on, certain teams? Who knows who's going to lay an egg in the playoffs, right? You don't know. I want to get in. There is no downside for the Raiders succeeding for the rest of the year. I don't want to hear that from any fans. DJ saying in the God, Raiders could go to the AFC Championship, and I'd still hope Rich B gets replaced. I mean, that would not happen. And I'll put you this way, DJ, I actually call your bluff on that. I think if the Raiders win, what would that be? 2 playoff games? I think you'd be all in on Bisaccia. I'm calling you. I mean, I'm not even saying that they're trying to be rude about that. I just mean it in a sense, like, I think you'd be all about it. I would be too, because that's a wild ride, bro. Like, we'd be beating the Chargers, winning a couple more games, and then being like, damn, dog, I am in the fucking AFC Championship game. Are you kidding me? You'd be all in. I mean, you'd have to, and there's no way he would get replaced at that point. But to me, I just think this team needs a little bit more talent, right? If we're talking about the long run. But there are some guys here. There are some guys here. Like, who did we see ball out today, right? I thought Casey Hayward was phenomenal, right? I thought Trayvon Merrick was really good too. Trayvon Merrick had a good blitz, right? And I feel bad because the only time I really bring him up like a lot on here is because of he's had 2 somewhat dropped interceptions, if you will, right? I mean, it's debatable. It's not the second one. I mean, the second one, I just wish it was incomplete. That's all it was. You don't have to make the interception. It'd be nice, but that ball should not be a completed touchdown, right? Should be that. But overall, he's good, and you saw him blitz today, and I thought that was fantastic. He shot the gap really well. Nyheim Hines got just enough of a piece of him to just make it not a sack on the play, but that was phenomenal. Nate Hobbs had a nice blitz. Nate Hobbs kind of blew the sack. I thought he was trying to strip the ball more than just get. Carson Wentz is huge. You got to just get him down, dude. I understand trying to make a play. The defense needed to make a play, but these guys look good, right? Max Crosby looks great. I mean, they have Denzel Perryman on the roster, and I've been saying that he kind of sucks in coverage, and he does, but he's a hammer in the run game. And I thought, Jonathan Taylor got 100 yards and he had a touchdown, right? If you're looking at fantasy stats, that looks great. But I thought they did a nice job on Jonathan Taylor. I've seen Jonathan Taylor absolutely wreck teams, good teams that I would say are better than the Raiders. I've seen them wreck teams. They did an okay job. They contained them, right? Brandon Faison's all right, dude. I've seen Brandon Faison have like 2 bad games, and you're talking about a guy they signed off of Chargers practice squad. You're you're seeing, I think Divine Diablo makes plays here and there. Is he ready yet to be a starter in the NFL? I don't know. Maybe not. If you have a little bit more talent around him that competes with him, maybe he doesn't win the competition. But as of right now, a third round pick, he's doing a nice job, I think, out there on the field, right? Then on offense, you have Renfro. I've actually kind of enjoyed seeing the small doses of Jalen Richard that we've seen. I offense, the young talent, I think next year they're going to have to really try to replenish the young talent on offense because there's not a lot there. But I will say, let's give a shout out to Zay Jones. I ever since that Washington game where I was really mad about that deep ball not being caught right at the end of the game where people thought it was a penalty, but he's had some huge plays. There's no question. He's had some huge, big time plays, right? A lot of plays where he'd do a comeback route short of the sticks, get it past the first down, showing some speed. He's not the best at tracking the ball deep down the field. I think we've understood that. But I think on short intermediate stuff, he's going to have a career in the NFL. He's asking about Trayvon Mullen. Yeah, Darius Philon, first of all, yes, great way to bring that up, Koji. Yeah, I always forget to talk about him. I would imagine I actually prefer him over Jonathan Hankins because I think he offers you a little bit more push in the pass rush and can play the run. Maybe not as well as Hankins, but he does make some really nice plays in the run game. I only saw Jonathan Taylor really get loose a couple times, and he's a guy that really can do it at a moment's notice anywhere on the field. So they did a nice job with him. That was good game planning by Gus Bradley, who I am, hit and miss on, lukewarm on him, I should say. And like there's stuff there. The quarterback's going to need a crazy decision, but I'll put it to you this way: if they beat the Chargers, I probably would bet on Carr being the quarterback here next year. At least for the start of the season. They might bring in somebody, like they might, or even use a draft pick on a mid-round guy. But I think for the most part, I think GMs, if they see the quarterback the year before got him to the playoffs and they could still have a controllable year on the quarterback, I could see that. Now, if they lose, I think all bets are off. I think you could see a change because that's when you're, sometimes you like to be, and this all depends on who they bring in, who's running the show, or if Mayock's still there. If Mayock's still here, I think Carr stays personally either way. So we'll see. I mean, I've heard rumblings of that, but I don't know. I that's nothing more than just speculation, I suppose. What does it mean for Trayvon Mullen? I'm not sure Trayvon Mullen's going to be here longer than, maybe next year. I think he might be even a bubble guy next year. That sucks, Max. Actually, I always actually liked him. I know a lot of Raider Nation doesn't like him or doesn't think he's all that good, but I do like him. I think he's good. But I still, maybe this scheme might not be as good for him. I kind of thought it would be, but maybe this scheme's not as good for him as just playing regular old press man, in just a regular man coverage scheme. And I will say the Raiders, you hear Jonathan Vilma talking about it, and a lot of the good stuff they did today was when they were playing man coverage. At least in his eyes. I'll let the tape guys talk about it, but it seemed like when they play man, they were able to hold coverage longer to get sacks and stuff like that. So, I'll put it to you this way: like I could easily see they have corners, they have Casey Hayward, but Casey Hayward they'd have to re-sign. You'd have to be there might be a team that might throw him a really lucrative 2-year deal after the season he's had this year because it's been very good. So you can't guarantee that he's going to be back next year. So I could also see that being a position of need in the offseason that they try to hammer because they don't necessarily have. I mean, the scheme's going to matter a lot. I think the scheme is better than the overall talent at corner, but you're going to see, I mean, do they pass on a guy like Sauce Gardner in the first round? You might not, especially if a Mayock, a former DB's there. He might not pass on that. And I'm not even saying I'd be mad if if they took him. I just mean there's a lot. It's definitely not a position that they're done addressing. And you get red zone defense, right? DJ's asking here. There is they've been Raiders when they get opponents in the red zone have given up a TD almost 80% of the time. And that's bad. And I think a lot of that has to do with the scheme. I think there's just very exploited things, like easily exploited stuff. And also they Raiders this year has been killed by mobile quarterbacks just taking off and running, and I think that always seems to be an issue. And they get killed by running backs in the flats. And I think in the when you look at when they lost to the Chargers last time on Monday Night Football, where it was just Austin Eckler in the flat just killing us, right? That it just seems like that's what teams do against them, and it's very successful. I in between the 20s, I've seen drastic improvement in this defense, right? And I still don't think overall that they're a very talented unit. Like as far as the raw talent, if you were to go name by name, it's not the most talented unit. And I think that's encouraging that if you do have the right people in place this offseason, you can add a lot of talent to a defense that's already got a little something there. And that's really cool. Defense fluctuates every year, but I think it's trending in the right direction only because they don't have a bunch of high priced talent on defense. Like a lot of teams. That's why defense fluctuates, is because you can't pay all these guys if you have the quarterback that you're going to pay, or if you have wide receivers you need to pay, you got to let some guys go. But Raiders don't really have that right now, so they are going to be able to keep a good defense if they do have the right pieces, at least for the foreseeable future. And somebody else saying, Koji saying, big ball rich, not the name I'm going to use, but he went for it on fourth down and it worked. Yeah, what's funny about that is like I gotta say I had kind of a beta male moment when that happened, when they got the touchdown on fourth down to Renfro, because I kind of wanted them to take the points because the offense just really was not moving at that time. And I'm like, you know what, just get it 17-16, field goal wins it. I understand analytically it's not the best look at it, but we cannot blow this fourth down, right? I felt like the Colts were one big Jonathan Taylor broken tackle away from like really putting the game away if that were to have happened. But can I discredit it and say it was dumb? No, I'm just saying at the time I disagreed with it, but it was really, really nice play by Carr. Great job by Renfro. He was being held on the play. I was hoping he was so open at the end of it. I was like, oh God, I hope that's not offensive pass interference. And yeah, and also Renfro, I just got to keep, while we're on that there, we have to talk about him. What it almost in retrospect was good that he got that he was down, right? It was almost good in retrospect where he was down, because we were able to run the clock out and kick a field goal with a kicker that I think we all trust. And but that touchdown was electric. It would have been cool just for the fact that touchdown looked so cool. It was maybe one of Carr's, definitely a top 5 play in Carr's career. And given the game, I'd say it's closer to top 3 if you're given the magnitude of this game and the situation. And that was just that was so encouraging to see that we were able to have ugly moments in this game. Like really ugly too. Like they really looked bad for about like a 10 game minute stretch from end of the second into the third. They looked like awful. And to just bounce back from that instead of letting it unravel. I know we want some easy wins, but that's a road win against a team that's currently ahead of us in the playoffs right now. If you get a tie, you have at least beaten the Colts with them. And I don't know what their opponent is next week. Let's see, week 18 schedule, who the Colts opponent is. But you have, let's see, who are the Colts playing? That's TBD. The Colts, okay, they're playing the Jaguars. So never mind that. Any given Sunday, right? But you do have, if they win, they're gonna be tied with them. And really it's all about, it's really all about, can the Raiders just beat the Chargers? They have to beat the Chargers. It's the Chargers beat a Denver team that I don't think is very good. They beat them at home. The Raiders are going to play them at home at the Raiders Stadium. Now, it would be a home game either way, but they did not play well when it was a home game last time in LA. But you have to just get this done, right? Carr needs it, right? Carr needs it just as bad as anybody. And I think this is going to end up being a very good game. A very good game. Look, I remember in what it must have been like 2011 when Hugh Jackson got fired right after when they lost to the Chargers, when all they had to do was win and get in. The year Tebow Mania, 8-8 won the division thing. And I was really hoping that, that's in my mind right now. But the Chargers, they were pretty dominant today, but they hadn't been playing their best football before that. Yeah, it's an interesting concept. Bench Brian Edwards and play Zay, Renfro, and Djax. I don't hate that. I don't hate that because I just Edwards he's like every once in a while makes a nice contested catch, but like he doesn't get any separation and then doesn't make the catch when the coverage is there. So it's like, office space. What exactly do you do here, right? Brian Edwards, like it's man, that hurts, dude. Because I really thought we had a steal with him, and I don't know that we do anymore. It's just tough. I don't know how better he can get at separating. How much better that can happen. I'm not sure that's something that you get. Maybe there's some technical thing he can work on, but yeah, I really thought we had something with him. Even last year, he had some play when he got hurt against the Patriots. He was really playing well before that. But yeah, I'd like to see. I mean, Zay is your number one wide receiver right now, slot on the inside. You have Renfro. He's definitely the focal point of the offense with Waller out. But I gotta say, the run game early in this game did a lot of work. And I'm noticing on this offensive line gets beat in pass protection. It does happen. They get beat. But they are playing a little bit better in the run game, I think. And Jacobs is running the ball better. He's more decisive as soon as the ball's in his hand. He sees what he sees and goes. He's not trying to, we're getting back to Josh Jacobs maybe being that one-on-one on the outside. If he's one-on-one with a guy, that guy's not making the tackle. We're getting back to that. It feels like. My only issue with Jacobs now is just, man, like, stay out of the medical tent, dude. Like, it's like there was one play where he got hurt and like he went down and it would look like you could almost predict that he was going to be hurt on the play, and he like kind of just did this inchworm move to the sideline and just like started laughing and then went in the medical tent. I was just like, wait. I understand this is a tough game. I'm not saying I'm tougher than Josh Jacobs. It's always what people think when you say this, but we need him healthy. We need him healthy because the passing weapons right now are not quite there. But Jacobs has been very effective the last few weeks, and you're going to be playing a team next week that is not very good against the run and gets killed by running backs. And we're going to need him. We're going to need him healthy, and he's going to have to gut it out. So yeah, that's kind of all I got today, guys. That was really good win. I felt great. It was very fun. I was watching it on Spaces with a few Raider fans. I was with Matt Fallon. It was really, really cool. Really enjoyed it. We're a winning team. We have a winning record. And for the people that switched over to become Niner fans, hey, they might like that. I mean, they might be happy with the way their Niners are playing right now, but I think maybe a little bit deep down inside, they're kind of like, wow, as soon as I leave, you guys want to at least not be under 500, and I think they're going to eventually want to come crawling back because maybe I'm a little too optimistic right now, but it does feel like they're headed in the right direction, and I'm curious to see where they take this beyond now, but I'm really enjoying this playoff run. They've won 3 straight. I mean, what better way to go into the last game of the year where you have a play-in game and you've won your last 3? Were they beautiful wins? No, they were not, but they've won 3 in a row. And there's no way that winning 3 in a row doesn't help your confidence, doesn't help you, in those situations where it's just one-on-one and you have that extra confidence that helps you get over the hump. So let's get Waller back next week. Let's get healthy. Everybody have a safe week, Raider Nation. Enjoy the win. Have fun. This was great. It was a great win. Great road win. A win that I had a feeling it would be a close game, but I just didn't think they'd come out on top at the end. But man, gritty, tough win. We're still alive. Control our own destiny. Raider Nation. We've been in a lot worse situations than this. So, all right, guys, have a good one. I'm at Glen Rockney. Subscribe to the channel if you don't already, and I'll catch you guys later this week.